It was supposed to be a happy day. The backyard was full of women laughing, passing cupcakes and baby gifts under the string lights. Someone lit a lavender candle. The air smelled sweet, too sweet. Avery sat right in the center, glowing, giggling, patting her belly like a badge of honor. She said, "Calista, you're the best. I don't know what I'd do without you." And I said, "You're welcome." I even smiled. Then she opened the box. Not the one with diapers. The other one. The one with a card that said, "From me with love." And right after that, Miles' voice came out of the speaker. "She still doesn't know, but God, I miss you." The whole yard went quiet. A fork dropped. A baby onesie fell to the grass. Avery looked up at me. Her face turned pale. I didn't move. I didn't blink. Because I wasn't done yet. Where in the world are you listening from? Subscribe if you've ever smiled through betrayal, just long enough to finish what you started. I've known Avery for 15 years. We met in college, two broke girls sharing a dorm and frozen dinners. Back then we were inseparable. We got drunk together, cried over boys together, laughed at nothing for hours. When I married Miles, she stood beside me in lilac heels, crying louder than my mom. When she got pregnant this year alone, scared, I didn't hesitate. I told her, "Let me throw your baby shower. You'll need love around you." She teared up, said I had the biggest heart, said no one else would even think of doing that. I thought I was doing the right thing, helping a friend who didn't have much. She moved into a rental 2 blocks away. We'd walk together in the mornings, talk about names, cribs, how scary it is to raise a kid alone. She said, "If I ever have a daughter, I hope she turns out like you." And I believed her, because why wouldn't I? Miles didn't say much when I told him about the shower, just nodded, said, "Sure, whatever you want." He'd been quiet lately, working late, always tired. I blamed it on stress. Or maybe I didn't want to look too close. The day of the shower, I got up early, cleaned the patio, hung the lights, baked 24 lemon bars. Just the way Avery liked them, soft in the middle crust, a little burnt. The air smelled like sugar and pine mulch. Around noon, guests started arriving, old coworkers, neighbors, a few of her yoga friends. Everyone brought pink balloons. There was laughter, so much of it. She looked so happy. Miles helped carry the chairs out. Didn't say much. Didn't smile much either. I asked, "You okay?" He said, "Yeah, just tired." That was always the answer these days. Avery floated through the crowd like a bride. Hugged everyone. Held her belly like a crown. "You've outdone yourself," she told me. "I mean, look at this." She gestured at the food table, the string lights, the cupcakes with little plastic pacifiers on top. I said, "I'm glad you like it." She leaned in, whispered, "Miles is lucky to have you." My stomach turned, just a little. I don't know why. Maybe it was the way she looked at him earlier too long. Or maybe it was nothing. I brushed it off. She laughed when she saw the diaper cake. I took pictures, poured drinks, made a joke about needing a real cocktail after this was over. Everyone laughed again. But I felt off, like something was moving under the surface, like a thread was pulling loose and I didn't see where it started. That feeling didn't go away, not when she hugged me. Not when Miles said he had to run out for more ice. Not even when the sun started to dip and the lights kicked on, casting everything in gold. It was warm, too warm for fall, and Avery, she never stopped smiling. It started with a sound, barely a buzz. I was folding napkins in the kitchen when Miles' phone lit up on the counter. Avery's name. I wasn't trying to snoop. It just flashed. Big and bold right there on the lock screen. One missed call, then another. I stood there for a second, just staring at it. He walked in a moment later carrying bags of ice, his shirt stuck to his back with sweat. "Hey," I said, voice light. Avery called twice. He glanced at the phone, paused, then shrugged. Probably forgot something for the party. He dropped the ice into the cooler like it was nothing. No eye contact, no smile. That night after the guests left, we were cleaning up, me rinsing dishes, him taking down the lights. I asked, "Did Avery ever call you back?" He hesitated, dried his hands. "Nope," he said. "Guess it wasn't important." He walked out before I could ask more. And I wanted to believe him. God, I did. But something in my chest felt tight, like a thread pulling the wrong way. Later, I sat on the porch alone. The air was damp. The chairs were still sticky from the heat. I scrolled through old pictures of us, me and Avery, years of matching Halloween costumes, inside jokes, vacations. I stopped on one from last winter. She was wearing my scarf. Miles was laughing behind her. His hand was on her shoulder. Just casual, just a second. But I saw it now, that look, that lean. And I wondered, how long had I been missing it? The phone buzzed again beside me. Miles, still in the house, still not talking. I picked it up. No lock code. Same name on top, Avery Sky. But the message didn't say anything. Just an emoji. A heart. I didn't read more. Not that night. Not yet. I set the phone down, wiped my palms on my jeans, and for the first time since college, I didn't feel like Avery's friend. I felt like a placeholder. 3 days later, Avery brought over groceries. She said it was a thank you gesture. After everything you did for me, she smiled. I figured you deserve a night off from errands. She handed me a paper bag. There were 2 bottles of sparkling water, my favorite granola, and a box of lemon tea I hadn't mentioned liking in years. It was sweet. Too sweet. She stayed for lunch. We sat out back sipping from chipped mugs, watching squirrels chase each other along the fence line. She talked about nursery colors. I nodded along. I wasn't really listening. Something in me was somewhere else. After she left, I started unpacking the bag. That's when I saw the receipt. It was folded in half, tucked behind the tea box. I don't know why I opened it. Maybe because her name wasn't on it. It was his. Miles Byrne, same last 4 digits of his store loyalty number. He'd bought everything, the water, the granola, the tea, but also a bag of chocolate-covered almonds I hadn't seen in the bag, and a pregnancy test. My breath caught. I read the line again. Clear blue digital. It was time-stamped 2 days ago, at the pharmacy near his job. I stood there, receipt in one hand, other pressed flat against the counter. It didn't make sense. None of it did. Why would he buy that? Why would it be in her bag? I told myself maybe she asked him. Maybe it was innocent. Maybe anything but what it looked like. I placed the receipt back in the bag. Sat at the kitchen table. Everything felt too still. Even the ticking of the wall clock sounded fake. When Miles came home, I watched him move. His keys hit the bowl. His shoes stayed by the door. He kissed my temple. I asked, "Did you buy groceries this week?" He blinked. "Yeah, Monday." "What for?" He hesitated, then said, "Just snacks for work." I nodded. Didn't mention the granola. Didn't mention the tea. Didn't say her name. I just smiled. And later that night, I lay in bed beside him, eyes wide open, wondering what else I'd missed. It was a Thursday afternoon. Warm, unusually warm for October. I came home early from a client meeting. The house was quiet. Miles had the day off. Avery was supposed to stop by. She said she wanted to borrow a book on baby sleep schedules. I left it on the coffee table for her. When I opened the front door, her voice was the first thing I heard. She was laughing. Not loud. Soft. That kind of private laugh she used to save for inside jokes. I stepped in quietly. She was in the kitchen. So was Miles. She had one hand on the counter, the other on her belly. Miles was reaching to grab something from the top shelf. She shifted, slipped. Not hard, just enough to startle both of them. He caught her, quick, strong. His hands around her arms, his face inches from hers. Neither of them noticed me at first, not until he said it. Soft, almost too soft. "You have to be more careful. I told you not to come if you were feeling lightheaded again." She smiled. "That's what you're here for." Then they both looked up, saw me. Avery laughed again. "God, I'm so clumsy," she said. "I swear this baby is messing with my balance." I walked over, picked up the book from the coffee table. Miles stepped back like he'd touched something hot. "You okay?" I asked her. She nodded, brushing her hair behind her ear. "I'm fine. Just spooked myself." I handed her the book. Our fingers touched. She flinched. Just barely, but I felt it. Miles didn't say much. Went upstairs, said something about checking email. Avery sat on the couch holding the book like it weighed too much. "Sorry for dropping in," she said. "I should have texted." "It's your baby shower host's house," I smiled. "You can drop in any time." She didn't look at me. I offered her tea. She said no. A few minutes later, she said she had to go. Doctor's appointment. I watched her waddle out the door, slow and careful. When the door clicked shut, I just stood there. The kitchen still smelled like cinnamon. I noticed a mug on the counter. Not mine. There were 2, still warm. And suddenly I didn't feel like I lived there. I felt like I'd walked into someone else's life. And no one had told me yet. I wasn't looking for anything, honestly. She'd left her laptop on my counter, closed charging. Avery always forgot things: sunglasses, chargers, coffee mugs. She texted me later. "Hey, if you see my MacBook, just bring it Sunday. No rush." So I opened it, just to check if it was hers. Same floral background, same baby name Pinterest tab open. But the mail app was still running, and her inbox blinked open before I could close it. It wasn't snooping. Not really. It was just there. The first subject line caught my eye. Draft, not sent, to Miles Byrne. I clicked and read. I don't know how much longer we can pretend it began. This baby deserves more than secrets. There were no greetings, no sign-offs, just heartache, laid bare. Halfway down she wrote, "Sometimes I wonder if Calista suspects. She watches me now, like she's waiting for something to break." My hand tightened around the mouse, but I kept reading. "I know you're scared, but you said it yourself, she's distant. She doesn't touch you anymore." I closed the laptop, very gently. The room felt too quiet, like the silence had teeth. I didn't cry, didn't scream. Just stood there for a while, watching the steam curl up from the tea I'd forgotten to drink. Avery's voice came back in pieces. "I'm lucky to have you. She's so strong. She'll be fine." I copied the email, sent it to myself. Then I opened a folder on my desktop, labeled it Household Receipts, and tucked it inside. I backed it up to the cloud, twice. After that, I wiped the trackpad, unplugged the charger, and placed the laptop back on the counter. That night at dinner, Miles asked if Avery had stopped by. Briefly, I said, "She forgot something." He nodded, kept chewing, didn't ask what. I watched him eat, noticed how comfortable he was, how easy it came to him, sitting across from me pretending. And I thought, this man isn't hiding anymore. He's just waiting for me to break the silence first. I sat on the bathroom floor, tile cold against my legs. The door was locked, not because I thought someone would come in, but because I needed a place where no one could lie. Not even me. The email was still open on my phone. I'd read it 3 times. Each word sat heavy, not sharp, just final. I remembered when I first met her, dorm hallway, messy bun, laughing at something on her flip phone. She offered me gum, said my eyeliner looked badass. And I believed that girl. I trusted that girl. For years. We braided each other's hair before job interviews, shared cab rides home from bad dates. I was the first to hold her when she found out she was pregnant, the only one she called that night. She said she didn't know who the father was, but I think she did. I think she always did. I stood up slowly. My knees ached. My heart didn't. Not anymore. I walked into the guest room, opened the drawer where we kept USB drives, found the red one, the one Miles used for work presentations. I copied the email, the text threads I'd saved, the receipt, the photo from our porch camera last Tuesday, her car pulling in at 11 p.m., leaving at 2. No password, no encryption, just truth. I zipped it into a folder, named it Avery's Gift. That night, I left the drive in a small white box, wrapped it in pink paper, tied it with a silver ribbon, slipped it into the pile of baby shower gifts. No rage, no drama, just quiet and a choice. If they were going to build a life on lies, I'd make sure it started honest. I didn't sleep much the night before, not out of nerves, just clarity. I woke at 5, made coffee, sat at the kitchen table with a notepad. I wasn't planning revenge. I was planning release. The kind that doesn't come with yelling, just silence and facts. I started with the guest list. 22 names, mostly women, a few work friends. Aunt Carla was bringing deviled eggs. Next, the layout. We'd use the backyard long table down the center gift table near the fence shade canopy where people could sit and rest. The cake would go under the pergola, the one Miles built 2 summers ago. Funny that. I opened my laptop, downloaded everything again, emails, screenshots, the porch cam footage, the receipts, grouped them in a folder, renamed it Prout for when the smiling stops. Then I exported a short slideshow, muted background, black screen, white letters, simple. I clipped a voice memo of Miles. He didn't know I'd recorded it, a conversation by accident, him on speaker while talking to someone else. "She's not dumb, okay? She just trusts people too much. I'll handle it after the baby's born." That was enough. I saved the video to a flash drive, tested it twice. Then I wrapped the drive in a jewelry box. Small, ivory, no label, tied with soft pink ribbon. I slid it into the bottom corner of the gift pile, just under a stuffed elephant from my coworker. Then I texted Marcus, an old friend from IT. "Still have that mini projector?" He did. I borrowed it for a slideshow. He didn't ask. People rarely do when you sound calm. I tested the projector in the garage, hooked to a spare speaker Miles left in the shed. The whole thing fit in a tote bag, which I placed behind the bar table covered with a congratulations banner. By noon, the tables were set, chairs lined up, cups, napkins, tiny pink confetti hearts. Avery texted, "On our way, baby says hi." I didn't reply. I lit the citronella candles, checked the wind direction, made sure the cords were taped down. Then I sat on the edge of the porch, hands in my lap, and waited. For once I didn't feel like the host. I felt like the only one who knew what was really coming. Guests started arriving around 1:30. The backyard filled with pastel dresses, gift bags, and the soft clinking of lemonade glasses. Avery came in glowing, wearing a white sundress and a flower crown. Someone handed her a mocktail. Someone else said she looked like a goddess. She laughed, tossed her hair back, told everyone I was the hostess with the mostest. I smiled, took a photo, poured more punch. It looked like any other baby shower. Women circling around finger sandwiches, cooing over diapers shaped like cakes. Someone turned on the Bluetooth speaker, soft acoustic covers, Jason Mraz, Norah Jones. No tension in the air. For a while even I almost forgot. Miles arrived 40 minutes in. He wasn't supposed to come, but Avery waved him over like she'd been waiting. He said something about just dropping off plates, then stayed. I handed him a drink. He didn't meet my eyes. Later we played a silly game, guess the baby food. 5 jars with peeled off labels. People dipped in plastic spoons and made faces. Laughter erupted when someone guessed cat food. It was actually pureed peas. Avery leaned close to me, whispered, "You've outdone yourself. Seriously." I said, "You haven't opened your gifts yet." She smiled. "I'm saving that for last." The wind picked up. Napkins fluttered. One balloon popped against a fence post. Then came the false moment, a red herring. My cousin Danny, who doesn't filter anything, stood and clinked her glass. "So, just saying, this is the first baby shower I've been to, where the mom and dad are sitting on opposite ends of the lawn." Some people laughed. A few glanced around. Avery blushed, said, "Oh, Miles isn't the dad," then chuckled. "And don't worry, my donor's not here either." Everyone laughed again, louder this time. Relieved, maybe. Miles lifted his glass, gave her a mock toast. She grinned back. And just like that, they let it go. I didn't. I looked at their eyes, their mouths. The way his leg pointed toward her, even when he leaned away. Red herring, I thought. Let them relax. Let them believe it's all harmless. The real moment hadn't come yet, but it would, soon. The sun dipped lower. Golden light spilled across the tablecloths. Avery stood beside the gift pile, both hands on her belly. Someone offered to help her sit. She waved it off. "This part's my favorite," she said. "Let's see what love looks like in wrapping paper." Laughter. Phones raised. Her sister grabbed a pen to jot down who gave what. She opened bottles, blankets, a tiny robe with the name Luna stitched across it. "That's the name someone asked." She blushed, still deciding. More laughter. Miles stayed in the back, sipping from a paper cup. Then she reached the ivory box. No tag, no note, just the pink ribbon. She held it up. "Whose is this?" I shrugged. "Not sure. Maybe someone dropped it in last minute." She untied the bow, opened it, pulled out the flash drive. Confused, she looked around. Her sister said, "Oh, is it a digital album?" Avery smiled. "Maybe. Should we play it?" People nodded. A few clapped. The speaker was already set up. The projector waited, tucked just behind the drink station. I walked over, plugged it in. The screen lit up on the side of the house. White background, simple text. "Some things can't stay hidden forever." Avery shifted in her seat, still smiling, but it was thinner now. Then the video rolled. Miles' voice. "She still doesn't know, but I can't keep pretending with both of you." Silence. Another clip. The email, word by word projected in black and white. Avery froze. Her hands clenched the edge of the chair. Gasps moved through the crowd like ripples. The porch cam footage, her car, timestamp 11:02 p.m. Leaving at 2:11 a.m. Someone stood. One woman muttered, "Oh my God." Avery stood too, said, "Turn it off." No one moved, not even me. I spoke for the first time in 10 minutes, loud enough to cut the air. I thought the best gift I could give today was the truth. Then I turned to Miles. "Anything you want to add?" He looked pale, tired. He opened his mouth, closed it again. And that said enough. I picked up the remote, paused the video, turned to the guests. "There's cake inside, and drinks. Stay as long as you like." Then I walked into the house, closed the door, and let the truth finish the party without me. I didn't go far. Just into the kitchen. The door stayed cracked behind me. I could hear everything. First silence. The kind that settles heavy like dust after something breaks. Then chairs scraped. Voices hushed at first. Someone whispered, "Is this real?" Another she knew this whole time. Avery's voice rose, tight, breathless. She set me up, in front of everyone. No one answered her. Footsteps fast sharp crossed the patio. Then her hands hit the kitchen door. It swung wide. She stood there, face flushed, eyes wide and wet. You did this. I didn't flinch, just looked at her. She came closer. I trusted you, Calista. Her voice cracked. You knew I was vulnerable. You knew. I cut her off. Vulnerable people don't sneak around with their best friend's husband. She blinked. A tear slipped. Not soft, not sweet. Ugly, fast, angry. You don't understand. He came to me. And you opened the door. She stepped back, shaking now, not from fear, from exposure. You wanted to destroy me, she said. This was cruel. No, I said. Cruel is lying to someone every day while they pour you tea and hang string lights over your baby shower. Behind her, people shifted. Some guests lingered in the doorway. Miles stood off to the side, head low, not moving. Aunt Carla crossed her arms. She muttered, Lord have mercy. Avery looked around, searching for a face, for anyone. But no one stepped in, not even her sister. I didn't mean to fall for him, she whispered. I was lonely. You two always looked so perfect. I thought he'd never notice me. I laughed, quiet, cold. You had a baby registry in both our names. I pointed to the screen still paused outside. You weren't invisible, you were calculated. The projector still glowed faintly, letters frozen mid-sentence. Miles finally spoke. I'm sorry, he said. Not to me, not to her, just into the air. Sorry doesn't fix it, Avery snapped. She turned to him. You told me you loved me. You said this baby mattered. He looked up. Finally, his face was gray. I don't know what I said. I wasn't thinking. No, I said. You were. You both were. The sound of a bottle tipping someone knocked over a drink. Liquid dripped onto the patio boards. A guest coughed. Another muttered, we should go. And slowly they did, in pairs, clutching purses and cake napkins, avoiding eye contact. Avery stood still, then grabbed her purse, shoulders trembling. She paused in the doorway, turned to me. You ruined my life. No, I said. You did. I just stopped cleaning up after it. She left, shoes clicking fast down the walkway. Miles didn't follow. He sat on the edge of a patio chair, hands hanging between his knees. I stood across from him, quiet. I don't hate you, I said. He looked up. But I don't trust you. And I don't want to know what you think anymore. He opened his mouth, closed it, nodded. You need anything, he asked. The words were automatic. Stupid. I shook my head. You can go, or stay here tonight and leave tomorrow. But we're done, Miles. He didn't argue, didn't cry, just sat there surrounded by half-empty glasses and wilting cupcake frosting. I went inside, turned off the projector, unplugged the speaker. In the hallway mirror, I looked tired, older, but free. The baby gift pile sat untouched, some still wrapped, some half open. I picked up the white box, the one with the USB, held it for a second, then tossed it into the trash. Not out of rage, just closure. Outside, the wind picked up. Blew napkins off tables. Lifted Avery's flower crown from the lawn and carried it into the trees. 2 months later, the house felt different. Quieter, not sad, just mine again. The guest room became my office. The patio got cleared out. No more folding chairs. No more leftover pastel napkins stuffed in drawers. Miles moved out a week after the party, left a note, didn't ask for anything back. I kept the mugs, tossed the porch camera, started sleeping through the night. Avery tried to text once, something long. I didn't open it, didn't need to. Some things don't require closure, just distance. I started walking every morning, same path by the lake, same stretch of pine and gravel. There's a little dog I see sometimes. He barks at everyone but me. I like that. People still talk. Neighbors look a little longer when I pass. But no one says anything. No one has to. The truth did what it needed to do. And me, I'm not angry. I'm not broken. I still believe in loyalty. Just not blindly. And I still believe in kindness. But now it starts with me. Forgiveness isn't about letting them back in. It's about setting yourself down and saying, you made it. If you're listening to this and you've been betrayed, I hope you know you don't have to burn everything down to begin again. You just have to stop handing matches to people who smile when they strike. Where in the world are you listening from? Have you ever walked away from someone who swore they'd never hurt you? Subscribe if you've ever rebuilt your life, one quiet boundary at a time.